Welcome back to Arc Encounters. I'm your host, Melanie, and I'm excited to walk on the Arc path with you. We'll be continuing our discussion on boosting your immunity. Today's lens, mindset, has been an important one in my life, and it's something I've learned so much about. I'm excited to see how mindset and immunity tie in together with our guide, Casey Cox, who will lead us on this journey. And we may even encounter a special VIP. Now let's get you started on the Arc Encounter journey with this quick video.
ARC is the lifestyle path to better choices. It empowers us to live life to the fullest and paves the way for people like you and me to discover our unique purpose and passion. Choosing to walk the ARC path invites transformation and growth in 5 key areas of life: leadership, communication, mindset, community, and lifestyle. As we dive into these lenses, they redirect our focus and guide us into a deeper understanding of where we're at today and where we're going tomorrow. This is ARC Encounter. Welcome to the ARC Path.
And welcome. My name is Casey, and I am your guide on the ARC Encounter today. I love that there are 5 different lenses that we can look through to experience our best life now. When it comes to mindset, I have to confess, it wasn't the one I started with first, and it's not the one I'm pushing into right now to say, I gotta grow, but it's one that has touched every other aspect of my life. In fact, as I was working in leadership, I've realized it's all about mindset. As I was developing my communication skill set, I learned, you know what, my mindset's everything. And that is true for every one of these aspects, is that they connect and overlap. And that's really how we bring it together. But what I want to remind you today about mindset is it's not just between your ears. It's not just about your thinking. It's a bigger system of understanding and the way you're going to see the world. You have a unique mindset. You also have an individual or personal immunity. And just in the same way, it's interconnected. Your immunity is not like flipping a switch to say, I have it, I don't have it. It's a system of life and connection. And your mindset goes everywhere, and your immunity is going everywhere as well. Well, today I have a privilege and an opportunity to introduce to you somebody that I do look at as a mindset master, as a meditation coach and an individual who's brought insight to me on the power of really renewing my mindset. And so let's get started and get to know this VIP. My good friend Ron Serven here is with us, and he is a mindset master, a coach, an individual that simply lives his best life now. And I'd love you to get to know who he is as a VIP. And as always, start trying to figure out your VIP as you get to know our guest VIP. Ron Serven, welcome.
Great to be here. When I think about the values that I've, kind of really connected to in my life, authenticity is something that definitely is important to me. Just being that real individual that allows myself just to not only acknowledge those things that I don't necessarily connect to that others might see in me, but just those things that really inspire me to be the best version of myself. And the ego can really get in the way of that sometimes.
I'm sure the ego can get in the way.
Yes.
But I'm not always sure who the ego is. If the ego's good, the ego's bad. Ron, tell me, is the ego good or bad?
For me, the ego is important to acknowledge. It's something that we oftentimes don't realize it's what we want others to see in us. And if we can let go of what we worry about when others, experience us, our ego can be, something that's part of us, but not something that's driving our actions. It's not creating who we are.
And so that foundational value set of authenticity is really, Ron, what I think makes you unarguable. You show up consistently every time, and you're not looking to convince anybody else that you're right or they're wrong. You're simply living into your best life. And that consistency is what develops your identity. Why don't you tell our guests a little bit about, how do you show up? What are some roles or some experiences that you fulfill in this world? And how is that identity really becoming anchored in you?
So for me, my identity actually kind of came later in life. I'm a 57-year-old man, and I didn't know early on in my life who I wanted to be, what I wanted to be. So as I've allowed myself to let go of some of those attributes about myself that I judged, I've really stepped forward and realized that my identity of me is just being present, being able to sit in a situation and not always have to answer the question, to dot the I, cross the T, which men oftentimes feel like they need to do.
I'll remember that if you don't answer my question today, that part of your identity is not needing to answer the question,
Right.
because that's how you're showing up and really being present.
Yes.
That's beautiful, and it makes you what I might call unshakable. It means if you don't have an answer, your answer is, I don't know.
Right.
And that doesn't question who you are as an individual.
Yeah.
And what that does, Ron, as I've seen you, is it invites you to show up with purpose. And your VIP is this authentic, solid man that shows up to be present, but lives out a purpose. So what are you doing to make the world a better place? And how do you live out some of this concept we call purpose?
So purposeful life for me has really been, as a result of 16 years of stepping into being a father and a husband. I've been married for 35 years. I've got a 16-year-old son. And my purpose just to show up in the best version of myself first, knowing that that's going to inspire and bring out the best in others. So my purposeful life, or my purpose, is evolving. It's something that I don't feel like I'm fixated on, but it's moving in different directions and evolving into what might be a deeper version of what that originally was.
Love that. And I want to bring it to you. What Ron just encountered was two things as he shared his VIP. One, that he didn't even know he had a VIP until much later in life. And two, that he's still discovering it. So if you're watching today and you're going, I don't know what my purpose is, you're in great company. You can be a guest right here on the ARC path with an ARC encounter, coming in to engage a sense of, I want to be unarguable. I want to know where my values are. I want to be unshakable. I know that I have something that's going to be tried and tested, and it's going to stand true. And I know that being undeniable is possible. And that's really where the ARC encounter leads you to discover that there's a journey of growing, of discovering, of engaging. And that ARC encounter always begins with the A of acknowledge. As we acknowledge, we're taking in what's going on. Where am I at? Is this working? Is it not working? And is there something going on that I'm missing? And Ron, that's really where I engage with you. What might I be missing about mindset, immunity? What are the trends that are going on that you're seeing play out in the lives right around you?
I've really tried to understand what mindset means, and then I just broke it down to the word mindset. Is my mind set on something that I'm not open-minded to what's possible? I think what we don't do a lot of, and I've been more open to, is being more curious, just not being black or white, just allowing people and myself to understand that there's opportunities to learn from each other, and not getting my mind so set that I'm not able to adapt to a new situation. So the challenges I see is people are going through the same process time after time, and they don't shift the small things. I think we think the large improvements or the large changes in our life are what impact us the most. And oftentimes it's those little habits, those little actions that we're taking on a daily basis, even in our own thinking, that causes us to spiral or not move forward in our life.
So you're drawing out that as you acknowledge, you're moving away from trying to solve the big problems and just really recognizing that there's something going on in the simple sense. And then you invited us to get curious about it. Walk me through a little bit of what is curious. What does it look like to be curious more of the time?
Right. So a lot of that I've learned through my meditation practice. So allowing myself to hear the thoughts that I'm having, understanding that thoughts are just thoughts. I mean, they say we can have 60 to 80,000 thoughts in any given day. And I'm sure you've had days like that, right?
I have minutes like that.
and we decide consciously or unconsciously, are we going to attach to that thought? And something I really enjoy doing myself is to journal my thoughts. And then next to those thoughts, identify, is this thought even true? Because we can oftentimes get stuck in our ways and realize these thoughts that we're having are something that we've learned from others, from our parents, from friends. So it's really understanding and the willingness to identify, for me, the thought process, which is something that is important to think, right? We're not thinking, we're not living.
Correct.
But also to connect to those thoughts and understand what they mean for us, what they're teaching us.
So let me ask you, what are your thoughts? Are you aware of your thoughts? Can you acknowledge, is what Ron and I are talking about right now over your head? Is it beyond you? Or is it inviting you to get a little more curious? Is there something to this concept of meditation? And really, Ron, as we engage this ARC encounter today, it's available for everybody. You don't have to be trained. You don't have to go through school or have a big background. Like you even said with your purpose, I just kind of discovered it later. And that's where the ARC path is open for each one of us. We move from acknowledge to heal. And when we engage healing, what we're encountering is that sometimes life is working for us, sometimes life is working against us. And what we do in the heal aspect of recognizing is we say, I want more of the things that work for me. So, what works for you? What's working against you? Where is there conflict or drama or difficult crisis coming your way? And Ron, what do you do when conflict or drama or crisis comes your way? Talk to me about how healing and a healing experience is really lived out by you.
So I know you're familiar with a healing process I've been going through in my own life around pain and discomfort. And that's just been years and years of an unknown source where it was causing this ongoing onset of just uncomfortableness, pain. So I years and years of trying to discover what that was led me to this opportunity to learn what this pain was trying to tell me.
I'm going to interrupt you because there's a concept here that is so powerful. And Ron's talked to me about this, obviously off camera a little bit, and so I know his story. But as he described it, it was looking to try to solve a problem, and yet that's not the same thing as getting really curious. And so, Ron, you got curious about what else it could be.
Right.
And you lived into this. Keep going now. I just wanted to highlight that.
So it just started with a neck issue, which I had surgery on about less than a year ago. Thought that was going to be the problem solver. Still had the similar symptoms, and out of kind of not knowing that there was a shoulder issue, found out that that was where the underlying problem was. So I think now I've learned to equate that to what is the root of the problem. What can we ignore or remove from the possibility so we can focus on where our problems, our concerns, our challenges really are where they're coming from.
And that takes us back to the acknowledgement to go, maybe there's more that meets the eye.
Yes.
I haven't been curious enough to acknowledge things that are in my past, or maybe things that I didn't even know were a part of my journey. And I get really curious about that so that I can engage a healing process.
Right.
What do you think are some of the things that maybe keeps people stuck from really believing that healing is possible, or choosing to even ignore any part of curiosity? Where do people that you've seen, and let's draw this into immunity, sometimes we just don't want to know what's out there. Right. We don't want to know what could be a germ or an enemy or a disease. How would you speak to some of that in your mindset and immunity understanding?
So for me, it's just been, not as a fear-based reaction, but just like, what might this lead to? What might be a result of me taking no action, or, taking an over-the-counter medication and just masking what the actual issue is. So, I believe in my own thoughts that every cell in our body is listening to every thought, every action, every experience that we're having in our life. So if there's not that continuity and that willingness to allow this flow moving through our body, through our consciousness, through our mind, through our brain, through our heart, we'll get stuck in some area of our body. That energy or that discomfort is going to get displaced, and we go to the default. We want to do what's easiest. We'll take the pill. We'll assume that it's hereditary versus that challenge of what's the deeper reason why I'm stuck here.
And sometimes we just need to make a harder choice to find the easy path. And we have to look back and go, what can I do differently in this moment? Ron's describing what I might call a holistic experience. And that's really where we started about mindset. Mindset's not between your ears. It impacts every aspect of your life. And so, Ron, how did this become a life experience? I mean, what were you doing 15 years ago, and what are you doing today? And why are you on a pursuit to live your best life, to find excellence?
So I would say, as I mentioned earlier, my son being born, I think realizing and experiencing as he got older, the remembrance of the experiences that I went through as a young boy, and wanting to give him the opportunity to experience things differently. Not to have the pain, discomfort, no identity, not having a purpose. So those are things early on that I feel as a result of having a young child that really allowed me to realize how I can allow him to encourage him to make different choices.
So as you engage with your son, you recognize that it really called out some of that purpose in you. And it gave you a deeper why and a stronger will to pursue something different, which emerged as becoming a mindset coach, a meditation coach, and somebody who says excellence is available. As that came to pass, was it easy when you started?
No, because if I look back even 15 years ago, I wasn't present. I didn't know who I was. I just was kind of existing in life. I really didn't know that there was more to it. And when I went within, which was my practice of meditation, and
Mm-hmm.
realized that the world is not out there, the world is in here, everything opened up to me. Not like that, but it allowed me to experience that part of me that was just being ignored, that wasn't being acknowledged, that I wasn't learning from.
Yeah. And maybe that's not ever been a real concept that you've engaged, that the world is not out there, the world is actually in here. And so as you're experiencing this and watching along an Ark encounter, what we're inviting you to see is Ron's a VIP. He's got a value, he's got an identity, and he's got a purpose that is on a journey of discovering, how can I make better choices to live a better life? I know more, I choose more. And how that culminates is what we call a kingdom experience. And it brings together within the Ark Path a recognition that this is my place of domain. This is where I stand for victory and celebration and abundance and all of these things. When's the last time you threw a party for yourself? Now, that doesn't mean you had to invite the neighborhood, but it just meant, how did you pat yourself on the back? And Ron, sometimes you go through some meditation and some engagement and go, that was really good for me. Tell me about self-care versus, and it not being selfish.
I use the adage all the time, and I'm sure you guys have heard that are watching here. The whole idea of putting the mask, you go to them on a plane, they tell you, put the mask on yourself to make sure you can then help others. Same thing for me. I mean, it's so important, not from a selfish, reason, to make sure that you're good with yourself. Really understand that there's opportunities to in these small moments, by closing your eyes and experiencing that energetic part of yourself, there's parts of you that you're not even acknowledging. There's parts of you aren't realizing that we're all similar. There's not another kind of interesting thing that I think about a lot is this whole idea that we're 99.999% biologically the same, yet we'll spend our time identifying why you're different. You're white, or I'm black, or you're Asian, or whatever that may be.
I missed that part. What? You're black?
But I think my point is, for me, it's all about the oneness of us as human beings, the oneness of us, coming together to acknowledge and experience life as it should be and can be. Not we're different and we need to kind of focus our own energies in life as a separate, entity and decide whether or not we want to engage with each other. It doesn't have to be like this, but can also be walking down the sidewalk and just acknowledging somebody in the heart.
And so it's a journey every day, and these terms that we use, as every one of our guests is this individual that has a VIP, and we call that VIP out. And that's what Ron's really engaging today, is his own unique story. And I invite you to find your story. How that comes to light is being unarguable, living into your values, being unshakable, finding that identity, connecting with an undeniable purpose in this world, and then living it out. Ron, I'm curious, in today's interview, those three words are new to you per se. I mean, there's not like, I've been living it. How have you become more unarguable, more unshakable, more undeniable, simply right here as an Ark encounter?
I think just sitting and listening and connecting. I think there's this, what comes often for me is the need to develop the answer. It's like the answer is so unique within us. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. It's just how we feel. And I think when I can acknowledge that in others and through this experience here, and understand that there's these different lenses that we can identify and look through, we can appreciate each other for who we are and what we can bring to each other's lives.
Absolutely. And Ron just brought us to a place where we can have hope, because there's not a right answer. There's not a wrong answer. And you are a unique individual. And as you engage your own mindset, you're going to discover your unique point of view. And then you're going to have the opportunity to follow that. As you discover that, immunity is going to look different for you than it's going to look for me, because we live in a different part of the world. We have different experiences, backgrounds, genetics, all sorts of things. But it is a choice. And that's what we're bringing to you today, is the opportunity to make better choices, to boost your immunity, to engage your mindset and live your life to the full. This is your opportunity today to encounter Ark and go, I want that. I want to learn my lens. I want to grow. I want to discover and overcome the adversity and challenges of life. So I welcome you to an ARC Encounter live with Ron Serven right here today. And what is going to be your ARC Encounter beyond today? It doesn't stop here. It keeps on going. So thank you for joining us today for an ARC Encounter, and I'm wishing you another opportunity coming your way.
I hope you enjoyed today's discussion on mindset. Thank you so much to Casey Cox, our guide, and our special guest, Ron, for talking more about mindset and how something that resonates with me is mindset and breaking down the words mind and set to further our growth and our curiosity. If you'd like to hear more, you can check out the Circles Now app, which Ron has courses on. You can visit our website at www.arcpath.com. What are you waiting for? Connect with us on social media at ArcPath. And we even have a podcast featuring the talented Bernard Bashir and Casey Cox, available wherever you stream podcasts. Thanks for tuning in to ARC Encounters, and we'll see you tomorrow.